Hello everybody, my name is Joshua and I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of Coffee, Cats, and King, where we discuss books, both new and old. I will share with you pictures of my cats who will make you wish they were your cats, and I will drink enough coffee for me and everybody watching. I'm back again with my Humans Are the Problem mug, and my shirt is my Chris Cornell shirt. I apologize in advance for the sleepy eyes. It is once again a 4 a.m. filming because that seems to be the only time that I can manage to sit down and do this. But it is what it is. We do what we have to, right? So I am here today with my March wrap-up. March was a rather interesting month for me. It was the month that my wife and I went on vacation for our anniversary, and that afforded me some extra reading time that I wouldn't normally have, despite how busy we stayed during the vacation. So some people tell me I read too much already, but I got through 17 books last month, and even for me, I feel like that's a lot. That said, I also put myself on a ban where I wasn't going to buy any more books until I read 50. I'm now at 26, so I'm over the halfway mark. And if I can have another month or two like this, then I'll be good to go very soon. Still regretting doing it, but I'm kind of sticking to it on principle now more than anything. And then a lovely subscriber suggested to me something like a 20 and 5, where I finish 20 books on my shelves, and then I'm allowed to buy 5. I think I'm going to go with something to that effect, just because I have such a backlog of books currently that I haven't been able to get to. And this month I also decided not to go with a TBR. I just want to do a little mood reading, grab and go kind of deal, and it worked out pretty well for me. There are a lot of these books that I've been waiting to get to for a long time, and like I said, it's just the freedom of being able to go and grab what I want when I want, rather than trying to stick to something 20 days after I picked it. I think it just works better for me somehow. So, I don't know. I'm still playing with that on whether I want to do this TBR thing or whether I just want to stick to mood reading. You guys tell me what you think down below. I know some of you are kind of split on the way you do it as well, but I don't know. I'm a lost little booktuber and I need guidance. And before I continue blabbering on, I guess we better get into the actual books, right? So, very first book that I read this month was a bit of a surprise. This was Tim Sullivan with The Parasite War. And weird things are happening with my lighting this morning, so I think I might just have to put pictures up on the side of the book because I don't feel like they're showing up. So this was a bit of a surprise. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. This is a science fiction that is also very much a horror. It's about these aliens called colloids. They're these big slimy masses with tentacles, and they latch onto a person, get inside from some orifice, and eat them from the inside whilst taking over their brain. And generally, you don't even know that this is happening until it is way too late and you are dead. Great cover. I don't know who the artist was for it, but I wish I did because it's just killer. I would love to have it as an art print of some sort. The book itself, though, like I said, it's science fiction, but it is definitely soft science fiction, and I feel like it's almost more horror than it is science fiction. The descriptions of these people, essentially just coming apart. It's pretty awesome. It's a fun book. It's a very fun book. Heavy on the horror, light on the science fiction, and 4.5 stars. Great find if you can pick it up. Next book. You guys have seen me talk about this at this point. It is All My Colors by David Quantick. That would be the sound of me throwing it in the trash if I had a trash can sitting there. It's 1 star. I talked about it in my other review. If you haven't seen it, I will link it somewhere. You can check that out. Short and sweet. It's crap. Don't read it. Next book. Death Coach by Joan Williamson. Another one with a great cover. And really terrible, unfortunately. Which is very unfortunate, in fact, because I bought the full set of 4 that all tie in to this little series, almost. And now I'm stuck with them. So, it was terrible. It's about a community of Greeks who are very close-knit community. This other family comes from the outside. They are not technically allowed to live there, but somebody messed up and allowed them in, and now they're there, and this family realized that these people are not quite right, that there is something almost supernatural about them. And I think I said it in my Goodreads review that that book is, if Thomas Tryon did everything right in Harvest Home, then Joan Williamson did everything wrong in Death Coach. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. It was 1 star. It was terrible. I'm not going to read the others. That's all I can say about that. I had slightly better luck with my first Kindle read of the month. This is Rose Petal Graves by Olivia Wildenstein. And this one got 3 stars from me. Started out strong, started out interesting. It definitely lost me once some romance aspect came in. And I'll say I'm not entirely opposed to romance. It's just, the essential story behind this is that this girl comes back to town because her mother has died. They're saying it's a heart attack. She thinks that it was under mysterious circumstances because her mother happened to have just dug up 2 graves. They live at a graveyard, so it's not actually as weird as it sounds. She dug up 2 graves, and the graves were empty of bodies, but full of rose petals. Like I said, it was intriguing, but the romance aspects felt very off to me. They just didn't seem to come in at the right times. This woman is supposed to be grieving her mother, and instead she's thinking about how hot the guy doing the autopsy is, It was very weird. All around a decent read. It was 3 stars for me, but I probably won't continue the series. Following that was Walking Alone by Bentley Little. This is a short story collection from him. It includes some of his much older work, all the way up into the 2000s. I have read this one before. It's a reread for me. It's actually a listen in this case. This was an audiobook. And I gave it 4.5 stars. His older stuff was definitely far superior to the newer work. I just love Bentley Little's creativity. And like I said, he takes these satirical everyday occurrences and turns them into these wonderful, ridiculous concepts. Even if he drops the ball in the endings most times, I love the crazy zany ride getting there. So really cool collection if you pick it up or if you listen to it. Some pretty decent narrations in there, and a few of the few of the people really have some fun with these narrations. So if you want stories of snowmen taking over towns, of crazy backwoods rodeos involving people instead of horses, and chickens who have mysteriously made everyone disappear, then this might be a collection for you. Alright, following that, I jumped into Helen Marshall's The Migration. Again, another lovely cover here. And I have had this book on my bookshelves for quite a while. I have had Helen Marshall's work on my to buy and to read list for a long time, but this is the first one that I've actually picked up from her. This was closer to a young adult, I think, but just a really excellent read, 5 stars. This is about a time when this mysterious illness starts affecting young people. Generally people who are still in the growing stages, if you will. Weird things start happening, their bodies start shutting down, but then footage gets out and people start hearing things online that that is not the end, that after their bodies supposedly die, another sort of metamorphosis is taking place, and the government is trying to hide it. And I'll leave you with that. Like I said, it's 5 stars for me. A very beautiful book. It is horrific, but it is also very much surreal, and just a very fantastical, interesting, intriguing novel. A lot of people did not like the almost aloof nature of the book, but personally I fell for it. I really dug it, and I'm looking forward to picking up some more from Miss Helen Marshall. Another 5-star read for me, one that I've been dying to get to for the longest time. This is Brian Moreland with Shadows in the Mist. I seem to have good luck picking up historical horror, specifically anything tying into World War II. And in this case, this book does just that. There is a dying man. He tells his grandson that he needs to take these particular documents to an old war general. Don't ask questions, don't read them, just take them to the war general. Do this for me, I'm your grandfather, and it's my dying wish. And the son does so. Grandson does so, rather. They end up being this man's war journal, where he describes a series of very strange, unsettling, and horrific events that occurred to him and his platoon, which never actually made it out of the war. Only him and one other man survived, and this is him finally telling them what happened, which was very much of a supernatural manner. Now, this book, for the majority of it, works very well just as an historical war novel. You are there in the heart of it with these soldiers as they're battling it out against the Germans. It felt very real. Just the chaos, the violence, the absolute confusion and claustrophobia, and everything in there was just so great. I was flying through pages, and it's a slow build-up in a way to the supernatural elements, to figuring out what the Nazis are doing here, and just a heck of a novel. Love the cover. I love that book. 5 stars, and definitely pick it up if you can. Awesome book, especially if you are at all into the history of World War II. Alright, this is one that I have once again had for a long time. Just haven't had time to pick it up, but a particular someone kept telling me, read the book, read the book, read the book. Finally read the book. This is The Snow Queen by Joan de Vinge. And you really can't see the beautiful detail on this cover. You have to see it up close to appreciate it. But this is a science fiction. It's about 500 pages. And it is not a small book, as you can see, in comparison to a normal paperback. So, this one was about a 4.5 star read from me. I did talk about it briefly in a video not too long ago. It is a Hugo Award winning book, and for good reason. In those 500 pages, Joan de Vinge creates an entirely different world, multiple series of worlds actually, and we start on a sort of backwoods planet, and there has been a divide between these people, the summers and the winters, and on this planet during a particular time period, the winters are in control and the summers are in control. One group absolutely abhors and fears technology. The other embraces technology and uses it to their advantage in every way that they can. And the end of a cycle is coming. The cycle that will give free rein back to those who despise technology. Now, in this world, the Snow Queen, who is currently in control, is trying to come up with a way to stay in control. So she has done some rather illegal things, continues to do some rather illegal, immoral things, but hey, it's all for the greater good, right? And you know, I feel like I could continue to go on and on about this book because it is very complex. There's so much going on. It could have been a better reading experience for me had I not rushed through it the way I did. I think I needed to take a little more time to dissect what was going on, but I really pushed through this in maybe 3 sessions, which is a lot, believe me, when you get into this book. But that said, I'm going to give it 4.5 stars at the end of the day. The reason it is not a 5-star is because, but as a science fiction, it's a great book. I see why it won a Hugo back in the day, and well worth a read if you are willing to devote the time. Moving along, I read The Salt Line by Holly Jones. I was excited about this one. It's about the United States after these, well, we'll just call them super ticks, have taken over, and there's been this massive wall put in place to protect everyone from the ticks. These groups of uber rich people will pay bukus of money to be taken out past what's called the Salt Line, which is a giant wall, in order to explore the world as it used to be. And you know, the book started out strong, and it just progressively got worse for me. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it. By the end, I think it was down to a 2.5, maybe a 3 for me. But it's not really a book that I can suggest, unfortunately. Starts out strong, gets weaker and weaker as the book goes on, in my opinion. Kindle book was Lost Legends, Tales of Myth and Magic. And this one ended up being 3.5 for me. Again, I feel like the stories do start out stronger and then get a little sillier as the collection goes on. But there are some really great stories in this book, and I have found some new authors that I very much want to look into because of this book. So for that reason alone, the overall score goes up a little bit. So 3.5 stars. It's a quicker collection, very cheap, and so if you're wanting to dip your toes into fantasy by some authors that you have never heard of, then this may be a collection for you. Following that, I jumped into Morgan Delaney's People Skins Volume 1. Really cool cover, very creepy, both in name and cover, but the collection needed a lot of editing. So I'm not going to talk a lot about it because I'm trying to rush along, get through this anyway. I gave it 2 stars. There were some interesting concepts, but it needs work. Hey, if you ever want help, let me know. Morgan Delaney, I am here, I am available, I can help. Alright, now this next book, I'm really not going to talk a lot about because you were going to hear a rant from me on this. It is taking a place right beside Panzer Spirit and beside When Spirits Walk as some of the worst books that I've ever read. This one for a very different reason, and this one really ticks me off. Oh man, this is Anthony O'Neill with The Dark Side. And like I said, I'm not going to talk about it here. 1 star. This book just really ticked me off. And I'll talk about it in an upcoming video. Following that, I got into Sal Conte's Child's Play. I've been looking forward to this one too, with its ridiculous cover and really no reviews online, which I'll be adding a review on Goodreads just so other people know. It turned out to be 3 stars from me. It was about what you would expect based on the cheesy cover. It was a so-so middle-of-the-road horror with a ridiculous concept, more eye-rolling than actually horror. But if you're looking for something silly and ridiculous and a little out there, then Child's Play might be for you. It involves a small town that wants to do anything they can to create the greatest Little League team of all time. And it gets ridiculous and silly. It was enjoyable enough. Very overwritten at 400 pages. It did not need to be 400 pages at all. But again, one that I've never seen before, and it was worth a read. It was 3 stars. It's not going to knock your socks off, folks. Following that, I tried to listen to Legend of Drist, the collected stories by R.A. Salvatore. I've never read anything by him, but I know this is his big series. This is his big character. It just wasn't for me. I don't think that it was, that the writing was necessarily bad or anything. I just couldn't get into it. I gave it 3 stars as a middle of the road kind of deal because I just don't think I was the right audience for it because people love this guy. It just didn't work for me. Alright, after that I read this collection by Alan E. Norse. This is The Counterfeit Man. Man, this lighting is killing me. Quick collection of science fiction stories from 1967. So the initial story, The Counterfeit Man, is a really good one. Very much reminiscent of Who Goes There, The Thing, then for you movie folks. The overall tone of that one is very horrific. Really excellent story just for The Counterfeit Man. And a few other pretty decent ones in the collection, but some that just really didn't work for me, or that I thought were rather silly and unnecessary. But overall, as a short collection, it's 3.5 stars. It is worth picking up, especially for fans of older science fiction. And it's my first foray into Alan E. Norse, so I might try and pick something else from him in the future. I don't know. I'm sure I have something in that massive collection up there. I did have 1 DNF for the month. That was Flashback by Dan Simmons. And I DNF'd it pretty early on. I'll be honest, maybe it's my fault. I saw the cover. I thought it was going to be some sort of horror that had to do with, theme parks, amusement parks, something like that. And I love that kind of thing. It is instead yet another science fiction noir. And I have had horrible luck with science fiction noir. It seems like every time I try and pick something up like that, it just falls so flat for me. So, just based off the tone of the book, I knew within the first 50 pages that I was not going to enjoy this book, and I did not want to spend who knows how long reading this 500-page behemoth. So, DNF for me. If anyone wants it, let me know. I'll send it your way. But I know I'm not going to enjoy the book. Now, the last two that I read, I did very much enjoy. They go together as part of a rather lengthy fantasy series, actually. This starts with Discipline by W.J. May. And I actually got the first 3 books in this series for free. Kind of keep a backlog of free Kindle books, just so I have something to read when I finish, And that way I'm not constantly spending money on Kindle editions either. So this is one I didn't know what to expect going in, but man, I really, really enjoyed it. This is more of a YA fantasy series, so very much enjoyable for a younger audience as well. Not too young, but definitely teens. And this is an excellent series. It follows this group of 15, 16-year-olds, and their parents actually are world-renowned. They saved the world. They were those heroes who gathered together under a prophecy, stopped the evil, and saved the world. And so they became the rulers of the 5 kingdoms. Well, now their kids, 3 of their kids, have grown up together, shared their childhoods together, trained together, and one of them, the main character, she's given a prophecy by a witch, and they are supposed to set out to stop this horrible, awful thing from happening that no one actually knows about yet. And very soon after, one of the original heroes, who are supposed to be immortal, is poisoned and killed. And that is where things kind of set up from there. So we have the main female protagonist, who is the child of a shifter. So her father can turn into a wolf, her mother can turn into a dragon. She, as of yet, can do neither. Her best friends that go along with her, one is a fae, who is absolutely gorgeous, apparently, although she's not interested in him. This is not a romance kind of thing in this case. But he is super quick, super strong, and just about invincible. And then the last character is a vampire. Again, immense strength, immense quickness, but very much ostracized by society for being a vampire, despite the fact that his father is one of those original heroes that saved the world back in the day. So there is very much an almost a racist approach in how people view vampires in this world. So I really liked that aspect of it, bringing it along without just shoving it in your face. W.J. May doesn't do that in this case. So all around, a very interesting story. I loved the concept. I love the banter between them. The dialogue here is really great, and I am blowing through the series. I love it. I read the first 2, and I'm on to the 3rd. Very much enjoying it, and at this point, definitely intending on continuing forward. So it was 5 stars for Discipline. The second book is Bravery, where they continue their story. It's another 5 stars for me. Now, again, I will warn you that if you want to try this series, it is meant to be read back to back to back. So I can tell you, at least in the first 2, both end with cliffhangers, and in the next one you jump right into the next scene. So it is not meant to be read as a one-shot sort of thing, but for me that's okay, because I'm loving every second of it, and I'm ready to jump into the next one. So, whew, there you go, guys. That was 17 books that I got through this month. Dang. A lot of 5 stars, a lot of 4, 4.5. A couple really crappy ones. Man, this book, you wait till I review it. This book ticked me off more than anyone, I think, for so many reasons. But yeah. Yeah, this is a really long one. I'm not going to have cat footage in this one. I'm going to make up for it by having some really great cat footage for you in the next one. So be looking forward to that. In fact, that's probably going to be my rant review of The Dark Side there. So I'll give you some longer cat footage to make up for the fact that the rest of the video is going to be so angry. And I'm going to wrap it up here. I got to start getting ready for work. Thank you for joining me as always. I hope you enjoyed. Comment below talking about any of these books, and I think because there's so many, I'm going to put a list in the description this time. So thank you, stay safe. I hope you guys had a great reading month. Let me know some of your favorites and least favorites down there, and that'll do it. I'll see you guys soon. Cheers.